This episode of Let's Talk About That includes a discussion about topics that may not be appropriate for younger listeners and viewers. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for another conversation of Let's Talk About That, a Union University podcast. My name is Fran Thomas, and I am one of the co-hosts along with my good buddy, Ted Cluck. This week's show is so tender, it's so beautiful, it's so powerful, and I'm very grateful to our friend and our guest, Brooke Hampel. I have no doubt you will lean in and listen to every word she says. As always, thanks for listening. Sit back and enjoy the show. Hi, Brooke.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. We're so glad that you're here today.
Thank you.
Yeah. Listen, it's a beautiful day outside. I think fall is here. I think we're arriving. We're stepping into that thing called fall. I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm
Definitely
also
ready.
ready.
Yeah.
I love the seasons. I love a change.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite months of the year, October, November, December.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Happy holidays. You want to put up the Christmas tree, sing a few carols?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Yeah, it's got to get south of like 82 degrees before the tree goes up. So.
My mom always is like, "Oh, fall's here. We're gonna put the tree up." Right?
Man,
Come on.
she's on
Like,
it.
she's
yeah,
like,
she's on
Yes.
Everybody, when everyone comes home from school and stuff,
Yeah.
we all need to help put the tree
Oh,
up.
you're all chipping
She
in.
like takes advantage of
Listen.
everyone coming home from break.
Yes.
it. Now, what's your level of involvement in the tree? Do you get real invested there, or do you kind of doing the bare minimum?
No, I'm invested.
Yeah, good.
I'm
good.
invested, not so much where I'm like, okay, everything needs to be perfectly like diagonal, like line up perfectly, but I'm like, makes my mom happy. Like I want to like
Let's go
help.
Christmas movies while we're on it.
Okay.
What's on your Mount Rushmore? Just give me like one or two.
Well, I feel like, okay, number one, Elf.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that's just
Solid.
like a.
That's a
it's
classic.
It's a classic.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
like, oh, we're
For
together
sure.
on
Yeah.
that.
I like Elf too, but I didn't get the high five. It's okay. Yeah. No, I'm good. Maybe on the next one.
No, Elf, and then I don't know.
Were
I
you
just
a Home
think
Alone girl growing up?
Kind of. We sometimes watched Home
Okay.
Alone. It was always Elf. Like
Yeah.
we were
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
going to watch Elf.
Yeah.
As a family.
Dude, Will Ferrell. He knows
Yeah.
how to do it.
Listen.
Where are you at? What's your Christmas
It's
go-to?
always going to be Home Alone, any of them. I think
Classic.
because that's what my kids were watching, and so
Yeah.
therefore I loved it, and so therefore that's what we're going to watch.
Yeah.
Home Alone, Elf. I don't know. There's one more. Christmas Vacation.
Oh, yeah, solid.
Christmas vacation.
Look, she's Brooke. Brooke is showing her age.
That's
Yeah.
so bad. Well, I mean, what is
That's okay.
Christmas vacation? They're going on vacation in Christmas.
No, man. No, they're staying home.
That's
They're
not-
staying home. No.
That ain't it.
So then why is it called Christmas vacation?
It was a part of the series of movies called Vacation that starred Chevy Chase, Barbara D'Angelo, or Beverly D'Angelo. I was going to get well actually on that one, but they're very funny. They're comedies. But for Christmas Vacation, they stayed home. Everybody came to them, and then just like hijinks ensued, and a
Wasn't
lot of
much of
humor.
much of a vacation.
No, not
Chaos. Christmas
Not
chaos.
for Clark Griswold, Chevy Chase's character, but no, that's a classic, Brooke. That's when
Yeah.
you need to engage for sure.
Okay.
A little
All right.
homework for you.
Yeah,
guess I'll
you've
have
got
to
some
do that.
time. You've got some time
Yeah,
To catch up.
to catch up.
it's only 88 degrees outside today, so get in the Christmas spirit, throw in.
Oh, fa la la
A
la,
movie.
everybody. No, I'm so glad that you're here. Brooke became one of my favorite people last year, and she knows that, and I will tell her every chance I can. I got to know Brooke when you were an undergrad.
Yep.
It really started with you were at Union on our women's basketball team. We've talked about the fact that I'm diehard women's basketball booster seat, ticket holder, owner, but yet I just don't know a lot about basketball, but I'm cheering for you like nobody's business. But in that context, I didn't know you. I got to know you through Leadership Union, Student Edition, and then through FCA, and you are one of my all-time favorite students. And then in that relationship, I got to hear your story, and I felt like we were just kindred spirits right away, and just so glad that you're here. Did you know Brooke?
I met her.
Do y'all know one another?
No, we do. Yeah.
We We do.
We do.
We do.
We met when you brought me in to speak to Leadership Union.
Okay,
Yep.
yes.
So I met her that night, and
Yep.
then we would see each other in the gym. And
Yes.
because I'm FAR
Yes.
for sports, I saw her at some meetings. So
Yep.
and it seems like we're on the same lifting schedule. So we see each other in
We
there
see
from
each
time to
other.
time
I
and
love
have a
it.
little chat. But I don't know the extent of Brooke's story. So this
Yeah,
will be
I know.
informative for me. Yeah.
Well, we're glad that you're here. And when I reached out to you about doing this, I thought, oh my gosh, there's 1,000 conversations that we could have because we've
Yeah.
had them.
We have.
We have had 1,000 conversations about a lot of things. And I just wanted you to decide. I was like, I'm not going to tell you what we should talk about. I'm going to let you decide what you want to bring to the table today, and we're going to go from there. So you graduated.
Yes. So I graduated actually at UTC.
Oh, I knew that. I'm sorry. I
okay.
knew that. I knew
It's
that. I
okay.
forgot. I knew that.
It's okay. So I started my graduate degree
Yes.
here
Yes.
at Union
Last year.
last year.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
instead of doing the biology master's in 1 year, I'm doing it in 2.
Okay.
And so last year I completed my first year, did my thesis and all of that, defended it, everything.
Yeah.
And then this year I'm just finishing up classes for
Great.
my master's in biology.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, but you're also a grad assistant.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. After being an athlete, serving as a player on the team,
Yes.
now you're not.
Right.
Yeah. What are you doing now?
So right now I'm the GA grad assistant for women's basketball. So I've been doing hotels, food, like operations
Yeah.
type of things. And it's really, it's different,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
working a 9 to 5 basically is, after being an athlete, is it's so different.
What do you miss most about playing, and what do you like most about coaching?
Playing, I would say just being able to compete
Yes.
like every day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, I think I'm definitely going to miss the games for sure, but I didn't realize how much I would miss just like playing basketball. Just
Yeah,
competitively
absolutely.
playing basketball.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's been, and I can't even practice right now because I had surgery this summer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just,
Yeah.
That's tough.
How long till you're back out on the floor for practice?
Well, I actually just got my ankle brace off, thank
Okay.
goodness. And I asked the doctor, I said, so like, when can I play basketball again? He's like, you at least not 6 weeks. Like,
Oh man.
and I was just like, oh my, wow. Like,
Yeah,
I just went through that
that's
whole
tough to
thing.
hear.
It was
tough to hear.
It was tough to hear, but
So
what can you do?
You're coaching, you're working for Campbell.
Yep.
Does it change how the players relate to you with you being their teammate last year, and then now you're like on the coaching side? What has that dynamic been like?
I don't, honestly, it hasn't been that different just talking to the girls. I think what's more different is that I'm not living with them. Like,
Yeah.
I'm kind of just removed from the student population, like I'm off campus. So it's not like with my interactions with them, it has to be kind of like I am like, oh, let's get lunch, or they just happen to stop by, try to like put myself in situations to have those conversations with them.
Yeah.
So being more intentional instead of like as a player, like I'm going home with them. I'm probably going to see them at Kobo every meal or just walking around campus.
What do you think are the biggest challenges to being a student athlete at Union? We're an academic school, so there's rigor on that side of it.
Yeah.
We play Division II sports, so we're ultra competitive on that side of it. What do you think some of the biggest challenges are for athletes?
Yeah.
Just in terms of their thriving here at Union.
I think that you hit the nail on the head when you said like we are, academically prestigious university. I know for me coming from, my old school, I wasn't used to that kind of prestige. So I was like, oh man, like I have to really put in some work, like some hours outside of the classroom. But then also you're also being asked to put in hours outside of, your sport, because if you don't do extra work outside your sport, it shows.
That's right.
So I just think the demand is very high. And then one thing I noticed just coming from another school to Union was that the athletic groups just kind of kept to themselves, basketball team keeps a basketball
Yeah,
team,
very much.
volleyball team keeps a volleyball team. You kind of have that built in clique, and if there's nobody that is like, your person inside that clique, it can feel very lonely.
Totally.
It can feel very lonely.
Yeah, it can feel lonely inside the clique.
Yeah.
And also it can feel like, because you're so regimented with your sport, you live with these people, you can't meet people outside of it. What's been maybe one of your most surprising, refreshing, outside of the clique of basketball, like moments of interaction at Union?
I would say the Lord blessed me with Miss Fran, Leadership Union.
Yeah.
That helped a lot. FCA. That has helped a lot. And I think starting it, my relationship with my friend Rachel, soccer, we started doing a Bible study together. Like, we ate lunch at Kobo every single day together, did a Bible study, talked about very vulnerable things and stuff. And that has just
That's
like
awesome.
blossomed into the most beautiful friendship, and just a life-giving relationship. I remember asking God when I was at my old school, like, Lord, like, please give me friends that want to follow you, like are walking with you, so that like we can strengthen each other. And He's been faithful to that prayer.
Kind of the Lord. Very cool.
I love this. When you came to Union, what was your relationship like with the Lord? What kind of jump was that? Because when I asked you about what do you want to talk about, you gave me the word or the phrase abiding in the Lord. When you came to Union, were you doing that? Did that change? Did it grow stronger, weaker? Because we're talking about things that are like good, but I know it's not always good.
Right.
I know that there's challenges for any student, but a student athlete. Talk to us a little bit about why you chose abiding in the Lord and what was that like coming into Union?
Okay. So why I chose abiding with the Lord. Well, when you asked me to pick a topic, I was like, oh man, like there's so many things that we could talk about. And I was like, no, like I don't want it to be something that I want to talk about. I want it to be something that the Lord is like, no, I want you to talk about this. So I was very prayerful and waiting for Him to say, this is what like I want you to talk about. And so I actually chose to talk about it because of something like He showed me that kind of illustrated abiding in Him. And I was like, okay, I'm going to speak about this. Felt like that was the answer to my prayer. And then what it's been like at Union. So the Lord came into my life very, I say dramatically, dramatically before I came to Union, like my last year at UTC.
Oh, wow. How did that happen?
It's like, hey, there's a story here.
I'm curious.
Oh, okay. All right. It's a lot. It's a lot. Okay.
Share as much or as little as you want.
All right.
I mean that.
Okay. So I've always grown up in a Christian home. Went to church, knew the right songs, knew the words to say, knew all the Bible stories and everything. But like I didn't have a relationship with God because I was feeling so guilty about my relationship with lust. And that was a hidden like thing. Didn't want to tell my parents, didn't want to tell anybody because I knew that it was wrong. And my parents had been very upfront with, you save your virginity for your husband. These are the things that you're supposed to do because God says it. So I was like, okay, God, I kind of made my relationship with the Lord about keeping my virginity for my husband. But I was open to, other things because I didn't view that as my virginity, which the Lord has now corrected that in my heart. But that was where I was going into my freshman year of college. So I got with a guy and he ended up raping me. And so then I was very angry at the Lord because my whole mindset had been, this is my ticket into heaven. This is my, this is my relationship with the Lord, is I'm going to keep this for you. So I was like, Lord, if you love me and you wanted me to do this for you, like, why would you allow that to be taken? And so I remember I like left that interaction and tried to step in front of a car. And because my whole identity was just gone. Started drinking, partying, just threw myself into basketball. Like I just didn't want to think about it. I didn't speak that it did happen for a year.
Right.
Like I didn't tell anybody.
Right.
Remember I told my mom first, and she was like, oh, well, when are you going to tell your dad? I'm like, I don't know, you know? So then after that year, I decided to transfer to UTC because I thought like me running away from my pain, like
Sure.
it would just leave, it would just stay.
Yeah.
That did not happen. And it just got worse. And I had a few dark times drinking, and I was like, okay, well, I need to change something else. And so I found marijuana, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like perfect. It's going to take my emotions away.
Right.
Like this is exactly what I need right now. And so I was in a very deep relationship with that, just threw myself all in. Always was having some kind of romantic relationship in my life because I was like, I mean, I've been fighting lust for so long, and now I can do whatever I want, do whatever I want, you know, because God obviously doesn't love me. That's what I like believed.
Yeah.
And so eventually that was not enough for me, and I started doing shrooms, psychedelic, you know, mushroom.
Yeah.
Started doing shrooms, and just it got really dark. That's when it started to get really, really dark, and the Lord started to open up my eyes to some things that were going around me that I couldn't, or going on around me that I could not see before.
Yeah.
And they scared me. They scared me enough for me to be like, okay, I need to go to church. I remember went to this church in Chattanooga. My parents actually picked out the church and brought me there. And I wore gray leggings and a crop top. And I was like, well, if anybody says anything to me, I'm not sitting back in this church like da-da-da. They welcomed me, you know?
Yeah.
I did sit as far away from the pastor as I could get, you know?
Yeah.
But nobody judged me. They just told me that I was welcome. And I was like, okay. Then right after the service, two of these, two ladies came up to me, and they told me like, hey, like, we love you. And I was like, you love me? And they're like, yes, like we love you. Like, we're going to take you out to eat after every service. And I was like, what? What do you mean? And I was like, you know, thinking, no, I'm not going to go out to eat with these people. And they're like, oh no, we'll pay for it. I said, oh, okay, I'll be there. You know, I'm in college. Like,
sure. Exactly.
It's a free meal. So, started going out to eat with them. And one of them happened to be a counselor, which was what I needed.
Yeah.
And I remember telling my mom years before, she wanted me to go to youth group and stuff and talk to people about what had happened to me. And I was like, you get me somebody that this has happened to, that this same thing has happened to, and I'll talk to them.
Oh, wow.
And she ended up sharing her testimony with me, and it had happened to her.
What a gift.
Right.
What a gift.
Kind of the Lord.
And the Lord knew that I was not going to talk to anybody else, you know, about what had happened. So he sent me like the people that I needed in that season.
Yes.
So, oh my gosh, I'm getting emotional.
Oh, no.
I haven't usually
okay.
got emotional about this. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
It's an amazing story.
Yeah.
Like, truly. And it's a privilege that that you've shared it with us. Yeah.
Yeah. So we started going out to eat with these ladies, and they they just continued to pour into me. I continued to live my lifestyle that I was living.
Sure.
And one night I mixed all three of the stuff together, and the Lord chose to show me where I was going without him. He allowed me to feel that. And I remember I got up, my friends were all there, and I said, I'm done. I'm going home. And they're like, what do you mean you're going home? And I was just like, you don't understand that this life that we're living, it has a price, and you're not going to know that price until you have to pay it. And I'm going home. Like, I'm going to go home.
That's remarkable.
And so I went home, and I opened my Bible because I needed truth.
Yes.
Like, I was like, Lord, just show me the truth. Show me the truth. And he showed me that he loved me even when I didn't love him, and he chose to save me.
Mm.
I was like, okay. I was like, Lord, like, if you want me, like, I'm here. I'm not a good person, but like, if you love me, I'm here. And so the next Sunday, went to church and sat very back row again. And the pastor made the altar call. And he was like, anybody who, wants healing, wants to be free, like, come down to the altar. And I'm like, okay. And I felt a little tug on my heart that I'd felt before, but I'd never listened to it.
Right.
Oh, gosh. And so I just remember I like walked down the stairs, like all the way from the back down the stairs. And I got down to the altar and I put my face on the second step. And I just put my face there and I just cried and cried. And the Lord met me there.
Oh.
And he took that burden that I've been carrying from what happened, and he showed me how much he loved me. He made me feel it. So then I remember I got up. I felt higher than I'd ever been. Number one.
Yeah.
And then I felt happy for the first time in years, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been looking for. And the world had lied to me and told me it was in other places.
Right.
But when I finally realized the truth, I didn't turn back. I wasn't perfect after that point. Like, I was still living in sin, but the Lord cleaned me up and is continuing to.
Yeah.
So I came to Union after going through going through that. And then after that time, I had to kind of choose him or my old life.
Yes.
And I kind of had to purge myself of my old life, and it was really painful season.
Yeah.
So I was coming out of that painful season and came to Union. Yeah.
Wow. That is so amazing. And I was struck as you were talking. Our stories have some similarities and they have some differences, but the through line was your experience of the Lord lays you low. He allows you to see what your life looks like without him. And I had the exact same experience. And it was undeniable.
Yeah.
I could continue running a hellbound race, or I could fling myself at the cross and live.
Yeah.
And I never tire of hearing stories of God's goodness in that way. And he's honored by your story. And I'm super encouraged by it. I know you probably didn't plan to tell that today.
I didn't, but it's okay.
And I'm sorry if I pushed, but I was just curious. And I just think the Lord is so honored by those stories. And as the body of Christ, we're built up by him, and you see the power of the word.
Yeah.
That it's living and active. And you see the power of the local church as these women came beside you and discipled you. And it's just reminders to me that this is real.
Yeah.
And people ask, like, why do you believe? And I say, well, I can believe the Bible because it says it's true. It says it's the word of God. But then I also believe it because these great people in my life also believe it. My pastor, my mother, who's so faithful. And but then I also believe it because I've experienced it, and I've experienced that the word's living and active, and I've experienced the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living, even though I haven't deserved it, And so, these are edifying things to talk about.
And just the gentleness of the Lord, the gentleness of him as he restores.
Yes.
Yeah.
And puts us back together again after such a painful, intense, hard, difficult season.
Yeah.
And then just the gentleness of him through those women at a church.
Yeah.
And then gently restoring you here at Union, like using this place.
Yes.
Using Mark Campbell, I know without a doubt, as your coach and other teammates. Like, how kind of the Lord.
Yes.
So it makes sense that this longing, this sense of abiding is there, because it's like, but I was there and now I'm here and I need to abide. I want to abide.
Yes.
I have to have that to survive. And so when you see that kind of progression, that beautiful thread of the Lord in your life, it's like, this is gorgeous, and it doesn't get any better than this.
Yeah.
So I thank you for sharing everything that you share. I know your story, and it's still always hard
Yeah.
to hear and to receive, but I appreciate, it's even hard to say, but I get it. I appreciate all of us in our own stories. We appreciate where we've been
Yeah.
because we deeply understand where we are now.
Yes. Yes.
So when you came to Union and this just longing for, like, it probably felt foreign. Like, what in the world is this?
Yes.
Coming out of that
Yes.
and finding my way here, how did you transition into this place that we know and love and call Union? Like, that's tough. That's that's almost whiplash.
Yeah. Yes, I'd never been to a Christian school at all. So coming to Union, I was like, this
Is this real?
Yes, I was like, wow, this is awesome. We have so many people that are seeking a relationship with the Lord.
Yeah.
But I think I was lonely. I was lonely at the beginning and had wanted community for so long. And then I also had made up an unrealistic expectation of Union in my mind.
Interesting.
Yes, because I was coming from, okay, I've been in this secular school, living this secular way. I have chosen the Lord. I have literally lost all my friends.
Yeah.
I am no longer, like, I completely have turned away. And now I'm here and I'm like, okay, like, it's going to be like,
Yeah.
everyone's going to have a
Yeah.
relationship with the Lord. And this is a Christian school. That was my thoughts
Yeah.
coming in. And the Lord had to convict me because I was angry at some people saying, you know, oh, they have a relationship with the Lord, or saying they're Christian. And then I'm looking at your actions and I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's, you know, the tree by the fruit it bears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but the Lord had to convict me. He was like, I'm not just gentle for you. I'm gentle for them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
at least they know who I am.
Yeah.
At least they're going to church. Like,
Right.
you weren't.
Yeah.
You were not doing that. Like, no. And so I was like, okay, Lord, like that was something that the Lord had to work out in me in my own heart. But that is
No, I get
something that He
that.
had to walk me through.
Yeah, we talk all the time, Fran and I, about how this isn't a perfect place.
No.
You know, and there's no utopias in our business. And,
Yeah.
and schools will try to sell themselves as such and probably overpromise things that they can't deliver. But, you know, I think on a person to person level,
Yeah.
we strive for genuineness and humility and discipleship. And I think by and large, those are the goals, even though because of our sin natures, we don't execute it perfectly,
Right.
you know, and there are realities of life here and just how we play sports and the level we play at where, you know, it's not going to be all like choir boys and choir girls on those rosters, but, you know, but I think at the coaching level, at the administration level, there's a desire for discipleship to happen,
Right.
and people's lives to be changed and hearts to be softened, like
Yes.
yours was. And, you know, that's what we strive for, even though there's no perfection this side of eternity.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is what is different about Union.
That's right.
Like the people in, like, say, Coach Campbell, for instance, I had never had I did have a Christian coach at UTC, but it's a public school, so it's not like, you know.
That person probably wasn't free to really disciple and
Exactly.
care for you in that way.
So that has made all the difference. Like, Miss Fran, like, just the conversations that we've had, like, so much, just life-giving relationships, you know?
Yeah.
So many of those. It's just possible because this is a Christian university that is based on those values.
It's a unique privilege we have,
No, it
you know,
is.
to get to speak of the Lord and, you know, open the word and make much of it. And, I think almost every person has this propensity to take things for granted and begin to find fault after you're at a place for a while. But the privilege we have to be able to do that here is remarkable.
Yeah,
you know?
it is.
And to be able to coach basketball from that perspective or teach writing from that perspective or, be in discipleship with a whole bunch of students, you know, these just aren't things that we could do at secular schools.
It's true.
Yeah.
How would you encourage somebody, young or old, but let's think about a high school student or college student or just young adult that is just navigating this concept, this idea, this command to abide, when they don't feel like maybe they know how, they don't have community, they don't understand or know God through His Word. I think it's one of those words that we can throw out there. And, you know, we know John chapter 15. We know a lot of us are very familiar with that chapter, but what piece of advice can you give a student who is longing to abide in the Lord, athlete or not? How are you going to encourage them to do that? Because you get it, we get it, but it's just sometimes not easy.
No, it's simple, but it's not easy. No, I'll tell you how the Lord showed me that I needed to speak on abiding. So I was driving home and, you know, the hurricane was going on. So it was rainy. It was really rainy. And I was just praying. I was like, oh, Lord, hopefully, you know, I get there safely, you know. And it was raining kind of hard, not that hard, but kind of hard to where I couldn't see the cars really in front of me. But I could still see that line on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And in those situations, my mind, I'm always like, oh, like I'm going to follow that line, you know, because I can't trust my vision right now. And so the Lord told me in that moment, He tells me, you trying to figure things out on your own, you trying to plan, you trying to do all these things, see all these things, whatever, that's like you trying to look for the car in front of you. And you just, you can't see that right now. Like, it's too far ahead of you. You can't see it. It's raining too hard. But He was like, when you look at me, you're looking at that line, you're pacing yourself with the line. I'm constant. I'm always here. I'm going to get you to where you need to go. But you have to look at me though.
Yeah.
And it's an active thing. It's an active thing. It's a choice that you make.
Yeah.
To either look at Him or to follow your own way and trust yourself. When our abilities are very limited, very limited without the Lord. And so anybody that is struggling to abide, I would say to look at the Lord, go to the Lord. However you need to do that, talking to Him throughout the day. When I first became a Christian, I thought, oh, I need to like pray in really big words and like I need to make it sound good. No, He just wants to know your heart.
Yeah.
Just tell Him your heart. Go to His Word. Just read His Word. It says, you know, the Word is God. It is Him. So He is His Word. Go to His Word. That's a form of you abiding. But you have to do it regularly. It can't be like, oh, I just went to church on Sunday. I'm a Christian. Like, no. Are you living under the submission of the Lord and what He says? Are you taking your direction from Him? At the beginning of, I literally have read John chapter 15, like, I don't know, like 10 times since He told me to talk about abiding. And at the beginning of it, He says, I am the true vine. That means that you can get your source can be something else. There are other vines out there that you can branch yourself off of or whatever. But He says, I'm the true vine. He's the only life-giving vine. So to be in that vine, you have to have a relationship with Him. To have a relationship, you have to talk to Him. You have to spend time with Him.
It's so good.
Yep.
It's so good. It's so good. And it's so beautiful. It sounds simple, but we know that we have to consider where our affections are every single day, sometimes every hour of the day, because that's abiding.
Yeah.
That's abiding. I want to abide and then unabide. Abide and then unabide. Like whatever it is that is drawing my attention or my heart or my desires, like it might be for the Lord, but then it's going to be towards the world. And I love that we can all relate to driving our car down the road and considering that white line, like That is what's going to lead me and guide me as I drive my car. But when I look at it through the lens, a spiritual lens, this is the Lord. This is who I'm following. This is who is guiding me. And Brooke, it is just remarkable to consider how far you've come in a short amount of time. If we could fast forward time, if we had superpowers and could see like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, where is Brooke and what is she doing? I'm telling you, it's a beautiful, remarkable journey that you're on. And thank you so much for encouraging us, reminding us of evil and sin and how prevalent it is in today's world, but the goodness of God.
Yes.
Oh, the goodness of God, salvation.
Yes.
The glory of the Lord. Just a beautiful testimony of Him at work in your life. So we're very, very grateful. What a gift, an absolute blessing. You have been to Union Athletics.
Thanks.
And to everybody that knows you. Yeah.
You're so sweet.
She's incredible.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. Thank you for being with us, my friend.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All right.
I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. As always, we would appreciate any feedback or questions or comments. You can contact myself or Ted anytime. You can find our email addresses within the show notes. We would love to see you on campus. You can sign up for a campus visit at uu.edu and just search Campus Visits. If you're ready to apply, guess what? We've got a fee waiver code for you. Just simply type in the word TALK, all capital letters, TALK, and you do not have to pay the application fee. All right, you guys, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.